I'm Ethan Eggert. I'm the designer of the Arid Spade. I'm going to run you through my bike check of my V3 prototype. So this is what I'm calling a size large. The reach is a 475, but also goes up to a 485. I've just been really liking the shorter reach. It creates a great balance with the 451 chainstay. The Spade frame is super modular, so there's removable dropouts in the back, and I can change the chainstay to a bunch of different combinations that I see fit with the length of the front center. The Spade also has some flip chips at the bottom for progression. Right now I'm running it at 30, which is dead in the center of the range, and that's my favorite so far, but we've been messing around with that a lot just because the 30 is really nice for super soft off the top, a lot of traction and great end stroke support, but there's not a ton of mid stroke support, so I am running quite a few volume spacers, but it feels pretty good as it is. There's also a flip chip to run a 27.5 wheel in the back. I'm running the full 29 setup, that's just what I prefer. The rear triangle, or specifically the seat stay, has a removable bridge. I'm actually running the mid-flex one. I have a softer one and a stiffer one. This has been my favorite so far. I just like the feel of it when I push on the rear. In the corners, it feels super solid, but not too flexy, not too stiff. The headset cups can also change the head angle. Right now I'm running it as a 64, which is the stock as it sits with standard headset cups, and that's my favorite head angle. With a high stack, it makes a great balance with the front and rear. Moving on to suspension in the rear, I'm running the Vivid Air at the moment. I'm running 180 psi with 4 volume spacers in that 30%. For rebound, I'm running 4 clicks off of completely open. For the high speed compression, I'm running 1 click off of open. And for the low speed compression, I'm running 1 click off of closed. And then I'm running full HBO just for great body mount support. I really like the feel of the HBO, and being able to adjust it is super nice. Up front, we're running the new Charger 3.1 Zeb in that new electric red color. It looks pretty sweet. For the air pressure, I'm running 65 psi with 2 volume spacers. For the rebound, I'm running 4 clicks off of open. For the low speed compression, I'm running 5 clicks off of open. And for the high speed, I'm running 1 click off of open. I like to run my compression pretty open generally, just to make it nice and fast, and I keep my air pressure decently stiff, but with a few volume spacers in there. I'm 170 pounds fully kitted up, so I usually run about 25% sag in the rear and then a little over 25 in the fork. Moving on to the wheels, I'm running the Crank Brothers Synthesis carbon wheels. These are a tuned wheel set, so the front is softer and the rear is stiffer. I was a little skeptical about this at first, just because usually I just want the stiffest, strongest pair of wheels, and these are super strong, but I actually really like how the front is softer. It just makes it track a little bit better in a corner, how it flexes, and it actually helps out with being more precise on the lines, but mainly in the corners is where you feel it the most. And then having the rear be extra stiff with that 32 spoke, the front is 28. With that 32 spoke rear and having it extra stiff, it's really nice just because you're always throwing around the rear end of the bike and it's kind of getting thrashed, so having it extra stiff is really nice. I've been on these wheels for almost 2 months now, and they're straight as they were out of the box, which is super nice. Those are laced up to some Industry 9 Hydra hubs, which is really nice to have that fast engagement, and they sound cool, of course, which is always a bonus. On those rims, we're running the Maxxis tires. In the rear, I've got the Minion DHR2, and in the front, I've got the Assegai. That's kind of my go-to setup. Works great everywhere, and that's just what I've been running for the past few seasons, so I'm stoked to be partnered with them this year. I'm running the Max Grip compound for both and DH casing. I like to go DH almost all the time. It's just nice to have that thicker, more supportive tire, but also just, no flats. Wherever we are, wherever we're riding, it's nice to not have to worry about the tire. I run in the rear usually around 25, 26 PSI, and in the front 24, 25, but it will change depending on the location or track. For the cockpit, I'm running a full Renthal cockpit, bar and stem. I'm running a 40 mil stem. That's just my preferred stem, what I always run. For the bar, I'm running a 35 mil rise. I like a higher stack, and the width is a 460. These past couple seasons, I've gone down 10 mil every year, and I just liked it more. It just feels really nice to be able to lean it over a little bit more, and I actually feel like I have more control with the shorter bars, which is nice. I'm running the ODI Elite Pro grips. These have been my favorite grips for the last couple seasons. They're just nice and soft and grippy and have great contact points. Headset, running a Chris King headset, which is always super nice. Their grip lock headset. Going to the brakes, these are the new SRAM Mavens. I've been very impressed with these. They're crazy powerful. I've actually gone down in rotor size coming off of the codes, running a 180 in the rear, 200 up front, and they are more power than I thought they'd be, which is crazy even with the organic pads. I haven't tried the metallics yet, just haven't found the need, but I will be testing those out for some steeper tracks. But it's been nice to be able to tune these. All brakes are tunable in some sense, but these, it actually matters because you can dial them back and they still have just as much power as a lot of the other brakes on the market, which is nice. I've got the full XX T-type transmission. This thing is pretty crazy. If you haven't tried it yet, I definitely recommend trying it because being able to shift under power and not having to worry about those shifting points, especially when you're racing or just riding really hard, is pretty crazy. And it's very different than every other drivetrain in the best way possible. I'm running some 165 mil cranks. That's just my preferred length. These cranks have a power meter, which is really nice to get the stats on power output for that. I'm running a 34 tooth chainring, which is something I recently just moved up to. I usually run a 32, but I found I really like this. Just, you know, can sit in a higher gear range and it's more efficient power for me. It also reduces pedal kickback, which there already isn't a lot on this bike, but it makes it next to nothing with the big 34 tooth chainring. On those cranks, I've got the classic mallet DH pedals in that sweet chrome color matching the frame. Always have run those. I prefer the DH pedals just over the Enduro. It's just a little bit bigger platform, more pins. My preference on that. For the dropper, I'm running the RockShox Reverb Axis in a 170. And on top of that, I've got the Ergon Enduro saddle. Super nice to just be able to take out the dropper whenever I need. And I was able to make this without a cable port, which is one less thing I had to think about for a prototype, which is nice. With the shifting, I have the dual axis shifter pods on the cockpit, which is really nice because you can, in the SRAM Axis app, you can program them so you can change which buttons you want to shift. One thing that I do that's a little different is I actually change out the bottom button on the right side, which is what I have programmed to shift for up and down. And I like having a little bit smaller thumbprint with a smaller button that you can change out just to give it a different feel compared to the top. What else am I missing? For the bottom bracket, just a classic SRAM dub on that, which is nice. And that's pretty much it. Got a specialized bottle cage with a Project Bike water bottle in there.